What's up YouTube? My name's Nick for the hashtag Very Cool Gang. I hope you're having a great day. And here on this channel, we're known a lot for testing tools. Every Friday at about 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream where we test two different tool brands up against each other. We're known for testing impact drivers, and I want to focus on impact drivers for today's video. I want to break down impact drivers into 4 different categories: beginner/DIYs, apprenticeship, pros, and expert categories. Today we're going to find out what category your favorite brand falls into. Stay tuned. So we're going to start off with the first category. This is going to be the category of DIY/single-use impact drivers. The first brand I want to start off with in this category would be a well-known Walmart brand, and that is the brand known as HyperTough. HyperTough's been in Walmart for a couple of years now. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's not the greatest. It's very inexpensive, I will say that. It's probably one thing going for it. We have tested HyperTough in the past. It hasn't held up that well. They are rolling out a new cordless line of HyperTough tools, but I would still classify them as DIY/single-use because they just don't hold up that well, and I don't think a pro should be using HyperTough, quite frankly. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below how you feel about HyperTough. I'm sure there is some HyperTough fans out there. I'm sure there's people that swear by HyperTough and use it every day in their workshop, whatever you may. But if I see someone on the job with HyperTough, pretty much I'm gonna think a certain way about them. I'm not gonna, like my respect level just dropped a few notches for you if you use HyperTough on a daily basis. Moving on to brand number 2, which is in the DIY and single-use category, Bauer Tools from Harbor Freight. They're going in the single-use DIY category. If you're using Bauer Tools, Bauer impact driver specifically, that's a single-use tool in my eyes. That's a DIY tool in my eyes. That's not a good tool brand. It's not for pros, not even for apprentices, not even for beginners. Definitely not for experts. So that's why it falls in that category. It's cheap, it's Chinese made, it's junk to me. Bauer tools are junk, and that's why they belong in this category. If I offended anybody, if I hurt your feelings, I'm not sorry. Moving on to the next brand in the DIY/single-use category, we moved on to Works. I'm sure you've seen of it. They don't spell Works with a K, they spell Works with an X. W-R-X, Works. But Works tool impact driver falls into the single-use DIY category. I just don't think it's a higher end tool. I think it's cheaply made. Once again, it's a tool that does everything but nothing great, and it belongs in this category. If you're using Works tools, that tool falls into this category as well. Moving on from Works, we have Porter Cable. I'm sure you've seen Porter Cable. Now, they sell Porter Cable at Lowe's. I think their impact drivers are okay, and that's it. I don't think they're anything special. I know Porter Cable as a brand's been around for a long time. They do make some good tools, like benchtop tools. But as far as impact drivers go, I just don't think they make it up to scale of higher end tool models. And I think they fall in that DIY single-use category. And that's just how I see it. Next tool brand in the single-use DIY category, you've seen it at Walmart, I'm sure. It's Bostitch. It's the black and yellow DeWalt knockoff, which is what I'm going to say. And don't let that black and yellow color fool you. It's not good. Okay, it's a Walmart tool, it's cheap, it's a single-use DIY tool, it falls in this category, and I just don't think Bostitch fits in that category of higher end, even pro or apprenticeship. If you're using Bostitch, people know you bought your tool from Walmart and that your tool is cheap. And once again, I've lost respect for you for using Bostitch. And finally, to wrap up the category of DIY/single-use is B&D, famous Black & Decker tool brand. Now sold at Walmart. Okay, orange and black. You know Black & Decker. They've been around for years and years and years. Black & Decker owns a lot of different tool brands that fall into that category of Black & Decker owned companies. But the Black & Decker tool brand itself is not higher end. It's cheaply made. It's somewhere from a factory in China, and it's not going to hold up for you. It's single-use DIY for sure. And it's going to be the last tool company brand that ends this category. It's just cheaply made stuff, and that's how I see it. Black & Decker is cheap. Moving on from single-use DIY category, we move into the beginners/apprentice category of impact drivers. Now, these are tool brands. If you're starting an apprenticeship, let's say you're in a union, you just started as an apprentice, I would suggest these tools. Maybe you're short on money, like you're hard up, you know what I mean? Like you can't afford a higher end model of tool. Like I would suggest these tools to you. I've tested some of these tools. I know they will hold up and they work pretty well. But the first tool brand is going to be Ryobi Tools 3-speed impact driver. It's definitely not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. And it will hold up. It will get the job done. Okay, it's definitely not single-use DIY. I have more respect for Ryobi than that. I'm sure some of you have used Ryobi, have experience with Ryobi tools. Some people swear by Ryobi tools. Some people only use Ryobi tools because they've had such great experience with Ryobi tools. My experience with Ryobi tools is that they hold up pretty well. They do a pretty good job. They're not the fastest. They're not the strongest, but they will get the job done. And I believe this Ryobi 3-speed impact driver, like if you're an apprentice just starting out and you need an affordable impact driver, don't sniffle, don't snuff. What is the word? Don't scoff. Don't scoff at Ryobi. Ryobi definitely has something to offer, especially if you're hard up and your money's tight and you need a good impact driver. Definitely Ryobi impact driver, definitely good. Now this might cause a couple arguments, this next brand, but I have to say it. It's beginner/apprentice. It's where it falls in the category. It's relatively medium priced. It's not going to be overly expensive, but you're going to get some good deals eventually. But I will say this, through our testing on TTR, we have discovered that although the Rigid Octane is supposed to be the top of the line impact driver from Rigid, the Gen 5X actually beats out the Octane as the stronger of the impact drivers from the Rigid tool company. And Rigid makes a good impact driver. If you need a quality impact driver at a good price, reliability, Rigid you can't go wrong with. We've tested multiple Rigid impact drivers and they've all done respectably. Like they haven't fallen apart, they haven't smoked on us. Some tool brands have fallen apart and smoked on us. And Rigid is definitely not one of those tool brands. And that's why they fall in this category. Rigid is apprenticeship/beginner category of tools. Moving into the next brand in the beginner/apprentice category is actually a Harbor Freight tool. Actually a Harbor Freight tool brand. It's the Hercules. At first I used to laugh at Hercules tools just because where they were made and where they're from. They're from Harbor Freight tools and they're pretty relatively inexpensive. These are pretty much just knockoff DeWalts. Like in my eyes, they're blue and black DeWalts and they hold up pretty well. We've tested the Hercules impact driver, the 20-volt model, and it works pretty well. Like it holds up well. It doesn't fall apart on you. We've done multiple tests in this one. This one's been through multiple TTRs. We've tested it. It works well, and it competes. And if you're on the job site and you're using Hercules tools and you need a tool that's relatively inexpensive, you're an apprentice, you're just starting out in the trades, definitely look at Harbor Freight's Hercules tools. Like these are nothing to laugh at either. Like Hercules gets the job done and it get the job done for you. When we move on to the video about hammer drills, I think we could talk about the Hercules hammer drill too. But for now, the impact driver, Hercules, definitely in that apprenticeship category. And I think it's carved out its own little niche. People swear by these Harbor Freight tools and they love them. And now I know why. Because I've tested this hands-on and I could see why people really like these Hercules tools. They work well. There's nothing wrong with it. And, you know, try it out if you haven't, I would suggest. Moving on is another Black & Decker owned brand. The revamped Craftsman at Lowe's. You'll see it all over Lowe's. You can't miss it. We've tested these Craftsman V20 tools and they hold up actually pretty well. These are kind of pricey and for the performance you get, they fall into like the lesser categories. They're definitely not for pros and these are definitely not for experts. But as far as beginners apprentices, I think these hold up pretty well. I've tested this V20 in a couple different TTRs. Holds up pretty well. I could see definitely an apprentice with this on the job site. There's really nothing wrong with these Craftsman tools, these new V20 models. They're brushless. They have all the bells and whistles of like a higher end model. But yeah, they're not bad. The Craftsman V20 line, definitely check it out if you haven't already. I would suggest that's apprenticeship style tools though. Moving on from Craftsman, we have another brand at Lowe's, which is, I would say, an apprenticeship style brand. It is the Cobalt tool brand, 24 volt max. Okay, now these Cobalt tools are actually not bad at all. Like this impact driver's held its own in TTRs. It does really well. The black and blue at Lowe's, you can find these. They're relatively inexpensive. I know the batteries are some of the cheapest around. You won't really find any tool brand with a cheaper battery than Cobalt. which is why I think Cobalt only throws you one battery in the combo kits, because they know how affordable their batteries are. As far as, you know, getting the job done, power, speed, and all the accessories, it definitely is on par with pro style tool brands, but it's not quite there. And for the price point, I don't think they're looking to be there. I think they're looking to be like in the DIY apprenticeship category, and that's where Cobalt falls. It falls in there, it carves out its own little spot, and Cobalt does a good job. It will get the job done. If you haven't tried any Cobalt tools, I would suggest trying some out. Maybe if you're in need of like a sander or something, or some type of specific tool, try a Cobalt tool next. And I know you will be pleasantly surprised, because every time I use Cobalt tools, I end up being pleasantly surprised. And everybody who uses Cobalt tools that I know is always usually surprised at like how well they hold up and how well they do. 24 volt max from Cobalt. Can't go wrong. Moving on to the next beginner/apprentice tool brand. The next tool brand is going to be the Skill tool brand. It's the Skill 20 volt line. We took a trip out to Nashville, Tennessee for the STAFTA event this year, and we got to see the Skill booth and their whole lineup of 20 volt tools and 12 volt tools. It's a huge lineup, and they're surprisingly well made and well constructed, and they hold up really well. Now, I definitely think they belong in the beginner/apprenticeship category of tools, because they're relatively inexpensive. They're not the priciest tools on the market, but they're also not the best, but they're also not the worst. They're kind of middle of the road, and I could see an apprentice using these tools, Skill 20 volt tools or 12 volt tools, and especially their impact driver. We tested it at STAFTA, seemed to do pretty well, it seemed pretty powerful, and it seemed like it's going to get the job done. Well, that's going to wrap up the apprenticeship/beginners category of tools. Next up, we're moving into the pro class of tools, the pro category. If you're using these brand of tools, you can consider yourself a pro. First up is the Milwaukee Tool Corporation. Now, making this list was kind of confusing as far as where Milwaukee falls, because Milwaukee makes a couple of different tools that fall into kind of different categories, but I'm going to lump Milwaukee Tool into the pro category, because if you're using Milwaukee tools, it's a pro style tool, especially their fuel line of tools. You can get more power and performance by strapping on a different battery to the fuel line of tools. If you use a higher output battery that they make, you will get more power and performance out of those tools. And I've used Milwaukee tools. I'm not the biggest fan of Milwaukee tools. Obviously, Vince loves Milwaukee tools. He uses Milwaukee tools every day, and he swears by them. I can see why. They're really good tools. I've used a couple of them, especially this impact driver. This will be the Surge fuel model. It's really quiet. It's a hydraulic impact driver, and it works really well. It's going to get the job done. We had a couple issues with Milwaukee impact drivers, though. They have some collet issues, but all in all, these are great tools, and they're going to get the job done. If you're using Milwaukee tools, consider yourself a pro. Welcome to the pro model of tools, and you're in that pro class. Definitely, I could say that. Now, Milwaukee does make brushed tools. I would still consider them higher end than other models of tools, like from different brands. Like a Milwaukee brush tool is going to beat a cheaper brushless tool, if that makes any sense. Like, I would still go Milwaukee over most of the cheaper tool brands, even if it's brushed. Like, I would still go with the Milwaukee tool. The next tool brand in the pro category is a Black & Decker, Stanley Black & Decker company. It is the DeWalt tool brand. It falls in that pro category. What I have in front of me is the DeWalt DCF 887. This 887 has gone up in flames on us. It's actually gone up in smoke. I would suggest not using this 3-speed impact driver, even though this is their high-end model from the DeWalt. But I would go with the 787 or the 885 as far as an impact driver goes from DeWalt. Definitely falls in the pro category where it fits in with performance and price. And if you're using black and yellow tools, you can consider yourself a pro. DeWalt is my favorite brand personally, black and yellow. Let me know who makes your favorite brand. But DeWalt tools is what I use, and it's what I like, and I would consider them a pro brand. And if you're using DeWalt tools, you can definitely consider yourself in the pro category of tools, but not in the expert. The expert requires a little more, I would say, quality. Next tool company up in the pro category is the Bosch 18-volt core tools lineup. What I have in front of me here is this is the Freak. This is actually a 2-in-1. This is a wrench and an impact driver. Now, it does both pretty good. I'm sure if you had a standalone Bosch impact driver, it would do well. But as far as a wrench and an impact driver, this thing does surprisingly well, and it works great. Bosch is definitely in that pro model of tools, that pro line of tools, I think, as far as price and reliability and performance go. and there was a couple different factors. I factored in warranty, price, and performance in all these categories, and I feel like Bosch hit all the marks to be in the pro category. Let me know how you feel about Bosch tools. Bosch makes other good tools, like their jigsaws are good, their routers, they make pretty good routers as well, and you can find them at Lowe's. They're relatively inexpensive too. We find tool deals here. We find some of the best tool deals here. If you get subscribed and tap the bell, you can get in on these tool deals. One of the best tool deals we ever found is DeWalt XR batteries for 50% off. You're not gonna find that anywhere else on YouTube or anywhere else on the internet for that matter. Make sure to get subscribed and tap the bell. We bring tool deals all the time. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Moving on to the next tool brand in the pro category is the Makita tool brand. This is the Makita XDT16 impact driver. This impact driver is great, works great. It's glow in the dark, in case you didn't know. If you want us to make a video about it being glow in the dark, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe you didn't know. But Makita is, as far as price and performance go, Makita definitely is in the pro category, and like, if you disagree, you're wrong. Like, Makita's not high end. Makita's right there in the middle, and they make great tools. Makita makes a lot of cool drywall specific tools. Make sure you get subscribed and tap the bell to check out more Makita videos, but we do them all the time. We've tested this Makita impact driver in multiple TTRs. It does great. One of my favorite features about this Makita impact driver specifically is the collet they put on this impact driver is one of the most secure. It's not gonna let a bit go, and it's going to hold on. They put 3 ball bearings in their collet, and has some of the best retention on the market as far as impact drivers go. When you need something to work and you need to get the job done, Makita will be there for you. We'll get the job done for you. If you're using Makita tools, you're definitely a pro. You're in that pro model, that pro category. I know Makita is really big overseas in like Europe and Australia. A lot of those guys swear by Makita tools, and I can see why. Makita tools are really good, and they hold up really well. The XDT16 is really nice. This one, we actually have one that was made in Japan. They recently switched over to China manufacturing, and that kind of lessened the value of Makita tools, I think. But when they were made in Japan, they're great quality. And if you can find a Makita tool that's made in Japan, hang on to it, because they don't make them in Japan anymore. And I think those are good quality tools, those Japan-made ones. These Chinese-made ones are still good quality, but not as good as Japan. But Makita is definitely a pro quality tool. If you disagree, let me know, and let me know what you think about Makita in the comment section below and where your favorite tool brand is in this category. Moving on to the next tool brand in the pro category. This tool brand has caused a lot of confusion recently with their name change. Very confusing for a lot of people. This is actually the Metabo HPT brand, formerly known as Hitachi and Lowe's. You've probably seen Hitachi before. It's no longer called Hitachi over here. It is in Europe. Actually, no, it's called Hikoki now in Europe. For whatever reason, they took a poll and that name seemed to stick in Europe. Hikoki, sound it out. It just sounds weird. Very weird. Hikoki, Hikoki, and then you bow. You say Hikoki and you bow. Hikoki, Hikoki. The HPT, in case you're wondering, stands for Hitachi Power Tools. That's the way you can figure that one out. Metabo HPT. But this is the Metabo HPT triple hammer. This is like one of the only impact drivers that is IP rated. So there's people that have used this underwater apparently. Like, I'll never hear the end. Oh, you can use who's going to use their impact driver underwater? I could see if you're out in the rain and you need to use it in the rain, okay? Nobody's using it underwater, okay? This impact driver, the triple hammer, is very strong. It runs on their multi-volt batteries. These go from 18 to 36. This is a pro category tool. It's going to be medium priced. It's going to be more expensive than your lower quality tools. I think it's worth it. It's brushless, it's got all the bells and whistles. Metabo HPT tools, definitely pro style tools. If you're using Metabo HPT or Hitachi, you're in the pro category. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, the expert category. If you're using any one of these brands, you can consider yourself an expert. You probably work with your pinky out, don't you? I'm sure you do. You are an expert. You're fancy men, okay? You probably, you know what I mean? You probably don't get a flake of dust on you. You probably never nick anything. Your work's probably perfect. It's immaculate. There's probably no noise, no dust. Everything's clean, pristine, and beautiful in your workshop. You are an expert if you're using any one of these brands, and the price and performance will say why. First tool brand up in the expert category is the Hilti tool brand, the Hilti impact driver. And one of the reasons I put Hilti in this category was not only price and performance, but it was Hilti's warranty. Hilti has one of the best warranties in the game. They have a 20-year warranty. No one's even coming close to that with 5 years and 3 years for some brands. Hilti has 20 years. That's ridiculous, okay? With a warranty like that, you could break a tool every week and Hilti would replace it. But you're gonna be paying. Hilti, you're gonna be paying out the wazoo usually. Hilti is one of those higher end brands, but you get what you pay for in this category, and that's why the experts pay more for Hilti. They're paying for that warranty, they're paying for the performance, they're paying for outclassing other tools. Hilti, you've probably seen their vans driving around, I'm sure. Hilti is one of those tools that falls into the expert category because it's just known to be. It's Hilti. Ask anybody who uses Hilti. They swear by Hilti. I'm sure you do, Hilti person watching this. You probably love Hilti. You probably swear by Hilti. And if you're using Hilti, you're an expert. You fall into the expert category. Enjoy yourself. Laugh it up. Cheers. Have fun. Us DeWalt people and pro category people, we're not there yet. We're not in the expert category. But if you're using Hilti, you're in the expert category. DeWalt Milwaukee, it is what it is. Moving on from Hilti, we have another company which falls in this expert category, Festool. Yeah, you almost have to stick your pinky out when you say Festool. Festool brand. It falls in the expert category. Some of the quality on Festool tools is almost unmatched. It's some of the best quality tools out there on the market. I've used a couple Festool tools. I've got my hands on a couple Festool tools, and I can tell you they're really nice. You can feel the quality. Like when people tell you Festool, they're not lying. There's a reason Festool is priced the way it is, because you're buying quality, you're buying the name, really, and Festool definitely falls in this expert category. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below, but I definitely feel that Festool is marketed to woodworkers almost, like in a different category. It's not even like it's for fancy woodworkers, you know, like I don't even know how to describe it. It's in a different category. It's in a category all its own, really. Now, there's going to be a lot of contention for this last final category, the expert quality tools, the expert brands of tools, and I want to hear your list down on the bottom. I tried to scour and find all the tool brands that I could, and a lot weren't coming to mind. There was only 3 in the expert category, and we got Hilti, we got Festool, and there's one more that kind of just made it. They were just on the cusp. But I think after using their tools and seeing the quality and how they're built and how they're manufactured, they really hold up and they will stand the test of time. They're manufactured in Germany. Can you guess who it is yet? All right, if you haven't guessed, it's the Metabo brand of tools. This is the Metabo impact driver. Now, don't get this confused, okay? This is not the same Metabo as Metabo HPT, Hitachi power tools. These are 2 different Metabos. This is German-made Metabo. We got to see how these tools are manufactured and made and designed in Germany, in their plant in Germany, and they're really awesome. They're really high-end tools, really good quality, but you're going to be paying a premium for that type of quality. And so these are some of the most expensive tools. Each one of these brands, Hilti, Festool, and Metabo, German Metabo, are some of the most expensive tools. And this is why, because their quality, they're going to hold up, and they're for, I don't know, they're for experts. They're for fancy people, okay? One of the great things about Metabo is their battery platform. Metabo makes the lithium HD batteries, okay, and they're designing a battery that's going to power a bunch of different tools. There's a thing in Europe, it's called the Cordless Alliance System, and what it is I don't know why they're not doing this in the US. I think it makes a lot, I know why they're not doing it. They want to charge people more money, they want to make more money. I don't blame them, you know, why not make more money if you could, right? But the Europeans are doing the smart thing. They're making one battery platform to power a bunch of different power tools. So if you want to use like a sander and then hook it up to a vacuum, you don't have to have 2 different battery platforms. You can use the same battery platform to hook up, you know, your sander to your vacuum. We actually made a video on the Cordless Alliance System. If you don't know about the Cordless Alliance System, I'm going to link it over here. Go check it out. Metabo is leading the way in a single battery use for multiple different power tool brands. Actually really cool. A lot of different European brands, they're all going to use Metabo batteries, and for me that's really cool. You know, it's probably going to save people a lot of money, and I would like to see something like that implemented here, over here in the States. But the Europeans are doing it. Well, I think they just want to charge people more over here. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. But German-made Metabo, definitely expert tools. I think those 3 tool brands will make up the expert category. If you know of a tool brand that I left out that you think should be in one of these categories, as far as this is for impact drivers. I may be straying away from impact drivers, but as far as impact drivers go, let me know which brand you think. I'm happy with my list. If you don't like my list, let me know why in the comment section below. Let me know your list. Where's your categories of single-use DIY, Apprentice, Pro, and Expert? Let me know. This is my category. These are where impact drivers fall as far as tool brands and companies go. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a like. If you agree with my list, 100% perfect, let me know that you agreed. Just type in agreed and leave a comment. And if you disagreed, let me know why, okay? But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you all for watching. If you made it to this part, thank you for sticking with me this whole time, figuring out where your favorite tool brand falls into, which category it falls into. And I hope you were surprised, pleasantly surprised. I hope you weren't disappointed. I hope your tool brand that you use on a daily basis makes you a pro or an expert. And if you're using an Apprentice and you're not an Apprentice anymore, maybe it's time to step up to a different tool brand in the pro category. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, but thank you. I appreciate you, and make sure to become a part of the Very Cool Gang. We got a community of tradespeople that stretches, you know, further than I ever could imagine. I mean, from everywhere around the world, every corner of the world, there's a Very Cool Gang member you can meet in Europe, you know, Asia, all different places, you know, South America, North America, Africa, Australia, different continents we're on. Become a part of the Very Cool Gang, and you'll have a friend all around the world. I hope to see your comment, and I hope to interact with you, and I appreciate you being here and watching this, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Video's over, but I know you want more. So this is how you're going to get it. First thing you need to do is pretend you're this guy. And you're here at the birthplace of freedom. Now ring that bell like it's 1776 and let all notifications through. What? You're not subscribed yet? Well, smash this button here. After that, watch this video here, and maybe over here.